Let me ask you guys a personal question. How do you feel about someone digging in your pockets and just taking your money? You don't like that? You don't think that's fair? How do you feel about them doing it because they messed up their own money, found themselves in debt, and said, you know what? I need some of your money though. You don't like that? What's going on YouTube? It's your host Bruce GNT, and we're here to talk about California trying to pass something for the new year. They're trying to find a way to tax, the billionaire class, to have them pay their fair share, and help aid in their own financial crisis. So let's jump to it.
Welcome back. In California, a proposed ballot measure that would tax the wealthiest people in that state sparked some pretty intense backlash from a place that is rich in cash. We're talking about Silicon Valley. Supporters say the policy could generate billions of dollars and make up for an anticipated budget shortfall in the California healthcare system. However, big tech leaders and billionaires slammed the proposal, arguing it will drive entrepreneurs to just leave California. So let's talk about it live to CBS News senior business and technology correspondent Joe Kent. Okay, Joe, they're not getting into our pockets, but is it as easy as this to summarize that this is about taxing the rich in Silicon Valley?
Reed, this is a really fundamental question of how to solve a problem here in California when it comes to healthcare and affordable healthcare. And this is really, if there are enough signatures and this does become a ballot initiative come November, this is driven by a union that is trying to make up what they call a gap in healthcare coverage and costs in the state of California.
So before she goes a little bit too deep, I've said it here and I've said it in other videos. California has been mismanaging their funds, and I think there's a whole lot of fraud and a whole lot of funky money, because I've talked about different officials taking money from campaigns, taking money from funds that are supposed to be helping the people. I mean, look at the Lights Be Real. It's alleged because there's nothing coming out saying that someone took money or who took money, but millions upon millions of dollars has gone to that Lights Be Real and they have nothing to show for it. The homelessness epidemic, I talked about that before as well. Where is the money going? Because homelessness has gotten worse. When it comes to protection, you got people in San Francisco paying private security to protect them because they can't depend on the police because the police won't do anything because the police are severely underfunded and understaffed. With all that being said, you want to tax the people that bring industry and money to your state because of your mismanagement of funds. And then the thing they're going to put on the forefront, to make it like an altruistic thing is healthcare. Illegal immigrants were using Medi-Cal in California, because at first I didn't believe it until I looked it up, and it says it right there. They don't discriminate based on immigration status. So in other words, illegal people can use Medi-Cal. Do you not think that's going to be a strain on the healthcare system? I don't know. Maybe that's just how my mind works. Maybe I'm crazy, but yeah. And they're about to say, you know what? We're going to tax you because we need your money to make up for our mistakes. $18 billion budget deficit. Don't forget that.
And the way it would work is California residents worth more than $1 billion would be taxed 5% of their assets would be taxed at a rate of 5%. And that could either be paid one time or it could be paid over 5 years. And it would retroactively, if passed, apply starting January 1st, which is in a couple of days. So the idea here is the reaction has been very strong and very controversial. If this goes through, the question among the analysts and the experts and the sources I've been talking to, is it worth it to do this, to have billionaires who may or may not actually leave the state of California? Or is it worth it as in, this is something that some folks believe, billionaires should pay more taxes. And so it's a debate that has really sparked some, Twitter wars, Reed?
Right. And it's fascinating to me. We're not just talking about the Zuckerbergs and some of the other big luminaries in tech. If they leave the state of California, they have to take that very important workforce with them, people who are not anywhere near the millionaire or billionaire category. But we also know you're tracking some reaction from lawmakers. Democrat Representative Ro Khanna of California embraced the idea on social media. How are others responding to this?
That's exactly what's going on in Chicago. Chicago has been doing some funky shit, along with their laws kind of making it weird when it came to protection and whatnot. Businesses were suffering due to crime and everything like that. A lot of different things led to Chicago being to where it is right now, i.e. businesses leaving, and California is trying to do that on a massive scale. If you do this, people will leave, because let's dispel this right now. Percentage-wise, billionaires do not pay as much in taxes. But numbers-wise, they pay way more the bottom 52% of money makers within the U.S. In other words, what I'm saying is that if you're a billionaire, you're not paying like less taxes than someone that makes $100,000, which is still a high income, right? You're paying millions upon millions of dollars in taxes. I don't know why people want them to pay the exact same percentage amount, like it's going to make that much of a difference, because the money that's being used, i.e. taxpayer money within, the federal and or state governments, is being misappropriated. People within our government, elected officials, are misusing our money. So it doesn't matter how much you tax billionaires, it's still going to always be a problem because people are just going to keep fucking it up. Along with that, right? I don't believe this is going to be like a one-time thing because California's going to consistently have issues with healthcare, with education, with food and everything like that, because they have the same system that I've been talking about for the longest time, a mentality of, government officials just taking money. All right, I can't stress this enough. It's not going to be a one-time thing. That's how this stuff always happens. It's like, oh, it's a one-time. It's a one-time thing. All right, don't worry about it. No, that's how they get you with the grift. That's how they get you. Make you think, oh, no. It's only going to be a one-time thing. No, it's not. It never is. It never is. It's like bullying. You think it's just a one-off instance, and now next thing you know, people just busting your ass because you let it be known that they could take advantage of you, that they could fuck you up, and you not do anything about it. That's just how I see it.
Yes, Representative Ro Khanna, who is obviously very active when it comes to tech regulation in Washington and is very much, plugged into all of this, he had an interesting reaction. He said, it's a matter of values. We believe billionaires can pay a modest wealth tax so working class Californians have the Medicaid your party cut, talking about the opposite party. And he is responding and saying, Texas, for example, ranks near last in healthcare, education funding, and worker protections. But then you have other people weighing in. Senator Ted Cruz firing back, and he's saying, please continue driving all the job creators out of California. He's referring to the fact that Texas has received a lot of, big time players when it comes to innovators, founders, tech leaders. And he says Texans are enjoying the prosperity. Then you have a more moderate, I would say reasonable voice in all of this. Alexis Ohanian of Reddit, always weighing in with the more nuanced view. He says we're absolutely going to have to figure out how our society adapts to a rapidly increasing wealth gap. It will be required to preserve a republic. But the answer, he says, Alexis Ohanian, is definitely not taxing unrealized gains. So
there we go right there. That's the part I want to get to. Unrealized gains, taxing that. To make it very simple, because it's funny, I had a conversation with my cousin maybe like a year or so ago talking about unrealized gains. Unrealized gains is essentially saying, hey, look, I have a stock option, right? It's projected to be this much. And when they say they want to tax it, they're saying, hey, look, we're going to tax you based off of what is projected to be, what this stock is projected to be worth. It's not real yet because I didn't cash out. It's still in the market because the market could tank tomorrow and all of a sudden you're taxing me on something that isn't worth as much as how much I put into it. You know what I'm saying? That's the most bare bones, easy way I can explain it because I suck at explaining things. But with that being said, they're pretty much saying, hey, look, you're worth $1 billion because contrary to what people may believe, billionaires, millionaires, and everything like that, they don't just have their money just sitting in a bank account. No, they usually have their money sitting in stocks and trades and everything like that. So when you're saying, hey, look, we're going to tax you on what we believe you're worth, right? When that could easily just change, probably won't change, but it can change. That's kind of fucked up. I'm not using that. That money is not in play right now. It doesn't technically exist. How can you tax me on that? And then not only that, right? A lot of people that make money like that, like billionaires, millionaires or whatever, they don't get paid like salaries like how we get paid. They get paid in stock options. In other words, unrealized gains, and yet you want to tax them on that. If you want to make people run for the hills away from your state and or city, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. Damn the fact that they're billionaires and they're good for it or whatever. That's their money. No one likes getting money taken out their pocket. I have like $5 in my wallet right now. All right. It's not going to hurt me to lose that $5. That doesn't mean I want you just going in my pocket and taking my goddamn $5. It's my money. Like that's crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't see how people cannot see this and see that it's kind of messed up. And like I said before, it's never just going to be a one-time thing.
This is a debate that has both financial and economic impacts as well as innovation. And as we look to what is happening between the US and China when it comes to the race in AI and tech innovation, and even just small and large businesses doing business with each other, where does this put California and the state of the United States, for example, vis-a-vis China and other competitors economically around the world? So this may seem like a potential ballot initiative here in the state of California, but the debate it stirred up signals that it means so much more, Reed.
It does, and we're starting to hear from people in Texas about it. You know, I anchor a local broadcast originating out of San Francisco. And, you know, when I talk about the tech sector, when I talk about school closings and education, when I talk about our Bay Area rapid transit system, there's one word that keeps coming up, and it's deficit. Fascinating to see people look for solutions. We'll see if this one works in a ballot measure. Jolene.
Yeah, he's absolutely right. Deficit. Every single time you talk about something related to California is deficit. They're broke. Yes, California brings in a lot of money, but it doesn't mean anything if you're in debt. If I made $200,000 a year, but I have a debt of $450,000, it doesn't really matter how much I make because I'm always going to be behind. You know what I'm saying? I'm always going to be behind. But to jump into why that would be bad, Silicon Valley, I've heard, has been bleeding for years now at this point. A lot of the innovators, a lot of the tech startups have been going to Texas. Other cities in California where it was known for its innovation and its ability to make a whole lot of money, they're leaving and going to different states. Tennessee being one of them, which I didn't even know until I started doing research. California is bleeding people. They're bleeding innovators. They're bleeding ideas. All right. Doing something like this is not just going to hurt, you know, the state of California, but it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt the residents that stay there, because guess what? Just like what they said earlier, those people that leave, they're going to take their jobs with them. You know what I'm saying? Other companies are leaving California because they say, you know what? Why would I go through all this when I could just leave? You know, like all these different companies are leaving and or have left California because of what's going on, how it's being run. Gavin Newsom. You know what I'm saying? So it's like doing this is really not going to work. But hey, look, y'all voted for this. That's all on you. Well, that's it for now, you guys. You already know the drill. If you enjoyed it, leave a like. Comment down below. Tell me your thoughts. Do you feel like this is the path forward for California? Let's just say this was to happen. Do you think this will solve the problems that California is facing when it comes to healthcare, food aid, and education? If you do, let me know down in the comments below. That's it for now. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.